This is going to be a longer video, longer than my usual ones, but if you stick to the end, you're going to be exposed to a level of hypocrisy that you probably didn't think it's possible. So, if you just get bored of the video, just skip right to the end and you will see what I'm talking about. With that said, enjoy. Okay, so this is Heather Antos. For those of you who don't know, she works at Marvel, and her tweets recently regarding the new Joker movie exposes why people at Marvel have lost all creativity. They are driven completely by ideology and don't really care about making good comic books anymore, which is bad for business, obviously. One of my favorite things with Heather Antos, and I kind of lost that tweet, but she is in charge of a comic book, or was in charge of a comic book, called Gwenpool. And Gwenpool was a fictional character designed by her. And she was busy like culture warring on the Twitter, pushing her leftist agenda. When someone wanted to make fun of her, asked her like, "Hey, when's the next number of Gwenpool coming out?" And she's like, "I don't know. Like, why are you asking me about this?" And it kind of shows why Marvel is failing in business, because instead of promoting their products, instead of trying to sell comics, they're trying to sell ideology, and they're culture warring and giving sass to the consumers, blocking people who would purchase their product. And it's just like an awful way of doing business. But anyway, right, so now that you know who she is, like, you can also look to My Milkshake Girl controversy. This is the person who started it. Apparently, she took a picture with her and other girls drinking milkshake, and allegedly she got harassment in private because of it, but she never showed the harassment that she got. Everyone from the comic book press was defending her, but never asking, like, okay, can we see the harassment? Can we see what exactly did you get which made you feel uncomfortable? None of that, but there were literal dozens of articles attacking the consumers from comic books, calling them sexist, misogynist, and all that kind of crap, right? So this is the person we're talking about. And the reason I want to talk about this subject is not necessarily to do with the person, but it's a mentality that people on the left have. Basically, if you have a movie that depicts, I don't know, some sort of racism or fascism or something that they don't like, even if it's done in a negative light, they're going to ask, like, why do you want to watch that movie? And it's like, well, gee, I don't fucking know. Like, why do women want to watch Twilight? Like, why do you want to watch vampires sucking blood out of innocent people? Like, you watch a movie because it's entertaining, and some people enjoy watching grimdark stuff. That doesn't make them evil, because this is the argument that Trump uses. This is the argument that right-wingers use. It's like, oh, you play violent video games because you're violent. Just because someone likes to watch horror movies like a slasher and see a guy with a knife killing up some sexy women in Friday the 13th, that doesn't mean that he actually wants that to happen in real life. No, it's just some part of the human psyche that is entertained by dark stuff. And this has been done through thousands of years, like pieces like Hamlet and, like other plays where you get to watch bad things happen, but that doesn't mean you want them to happen in reality. So this is like the new version of religious arguments against heretical movies, if you will. It's like, oh, this is like Harry Potter teaching kids to do magic. This is like Dungeons and Dragons paving the path towards Satanism. Oh, this movie creates sexism and misogyny in the car. Like, it's the same shit. It's the same shit. They just have like some different rationale and different arguments to make it. And I want to remind people, like, the left is the type that will defend any type of art that they make because, well, it's art, so you shouldn't be able to criticize it. And you end up with actual pieces of feces in a museum. Like, there is actual shit in a museum. There's actual garbage in museums, and they call it art. They have women menstruating on a flag and call that art. So everything that's disgusting, everything that's abhorrent is okay, and you're not going to see Heather Antos criticizing it. But the moment they make a movie about Joker, oh, that's problematic, oh, that is rape culture or whatever. So apparently she claims that it was not that long ago when a socially isolated, disgruntled white man who felt wronged by society quite literally dressed up as a Joker and shot up a movie theater in Colorado. So basically she's saying that, this talks about a topic that happens in real life, I mean, yeah, I can see that some people who feel disgruntled by society end up shooting a theater. So what do you want to do? Not discuss about it? Like, not talk about it? Not, completely ignore the phenomenon, hoping it will go away, push it under the rug? This is the leftist solution to solve everything. Push it under the rug. Just don't talk about it. Just lock your lips, look the other way, and hopefully it's going to go away. But not only that, like the Joker, any idiot understands that this is a villain. It's one of the worst villains in DC Comics. It's not someone that people want to emulate. I even remember when they actually canceled a comic book where you had the Joker pointing a gun at Batgirl's head and holding her hostage. And the idiots from the far left, the identitarians, were like, oh, this is rape culture because men identify as the Joker. And I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like, these people don't understand principles anymore. Like, they genuinely think that people identify with the genitalia. Okay, so I have a cock, the Joker has a cock, and therefore I am the Joker. They don't think like, okay, maybe I identify as Batgirl because she's on the side of justice and I believe in justice, law, and order, and I don't want to see the Joker win. Like, they legitimately can't believe that. But what's really astonishing is if you actually read the comics and you see the fucked up shit that Joker did, you will understand that he's not an anti-hero. He's the worst villain in DC Comics. Like, this guy killed a bunch of old people in their house and then had sex with their corpse. That literally happens in one of the comic books, okay? This is the type of person that shot Barbara Gordon, injured her spine, paralyzed her, and then undressed her, raped her, took pictures of her, and sent it to her father. Like, in the comic books, the Joker is dialed to 11. No matter what you see in the movies and the TV shows, they can't really represent the character on the big screen because of how fucked he is. But trust me when I say, like, in the comic books, this is one of the darkest characters that DC Comics have put forth. And, like, saying that people would identify with him or that they would look at and they would kind of understand him, not to mention, like, in order to create a good villain, you do need to somehow show, the path to darkness, as they call it, like the journey to that type of environment. So, yeah, maybe, he had a really bad life and it could be understandable why that would break a person. But that doesn't mean that people want to get to that place, and it could spark a conversation about what we can do with men in a society that are being driven to that dark path. Like, how can we bring them back? Like, what exactly do you offer to a person that feels as if they are being pushed away by society, a disgruntled person, as you say? What do you offer to them so they don't end up shooting a cinema? What do you offer to them so they don't go to that dark place? This is the actual conversation that should be had. Not ignoring it isn't going to make it go away. Because here's the thing, like, I'm not the person that's in a dark place. I'm not being ostracized by society, but, I'm the type of person that goes to the cinema with my girlfriend and I don't want to be shot. How about that? Did you think about that? Oh my God, I'm white and I have a dick. Yeah, but I'm not the one that's going to do that, but I can't be a victim of that, So, yeah, I do hope that society finds a way to stop these people. So, Rachel Miller nails it. Of course, this is like the type of people that promote each other because they have the same ideology. So I've pinpointed exactly what bothers me about the Joker movie. Now I'm being sold on the Joker movie. You know what? I'll probably watch it 3 times because I know it pisses off these people. I don't want to watch a movie that shows us the trauma that drove the Joker insane. It's like, why not? Why don't you want to watch? Like the whole thing with the Joker is that his philosophy is that one bad day can make anyone go insane. And the reason you don't want to watch it is because you progressive twats are the type of people that encourage ostracizing others, encourage getting people fired, encourage, this treatment towards other people. Like, if you have a racist person, let's say you have a racist engineer, all right, or a racist baker, a homophobic baker. You have a homophobic baker, a piece of shit. Yeah. And you encourage that his business gets demolished. You encourage that the guy can't find any work to do and he has no more livelihood. What do you think will happen? Do you think he's going to start becoming less homophobic? Do you think he's going to all of a sudden change his mind and become a compassionate individual? No, you just turn him into a social pariah, you ostracize him, and you place him on the path of the Joker. So of course people like you don't like the Joker, because you get to see yourselves in a mirror creating Jokers everywhere. So yeah, I kind of understand it. I don't want to watch a well-intentioned but unstable man get bullied until he turns into a mass murderer. Well, yeah, but that is literally what happens to a lot of these people, you know? And it's not excusable, by the way. I don't think they should commit murder, but I think society should have a fail-safe for these people to get help. Because as I mentioned before, I'm not getting bullied. I'm not going to turn into a mass murderer, but I can go to a cinema, watch the Batman, and have some other twat that has been bullied end up opening fire on the theater. So I don't want to be placed in that position. So yeah, I do hope that society is eventually going to have this very difficult conversation to find out a way to channel this negative energy from these men. And by the way, you know, like a lot of people might ignore that this is a problem, but look in London. In London, back in the day, during the revolution industry, look at Huckleberry Finn. Because they couldn't find jobs, because they were ostracized by societies, they turned into crime. Now, not all of them are going to become mass murderers and stuff, but when a person can't find a job, when a person can't find something to put food on the table, they are going to become desperate, and they are going to commit things that are unacceptable in order to have a living. So yeah, like, you people are part of the problem. You ostracizing people, you know, you're making sure that these people don't manage to have a stake into society, is creating this. And I think this movie is kind of getting you to understand that your ideology is actually causing a problem. And I kind of think that, yeah, maybe the leftist ideology does cause these problems, particularly so that they can claim they can fix these problems and be elected into positions of power. It's like, oh, there's so much misogyny, elect me. And you create more misogyny in order to have this vicious circle going on. I don't want to watch a man get rejected by women as an excuse for his future of domestic abuse. This is not what the Joker is about. It's not the fact that he got rejected by women. I mean, it is part of it, but it's not the complete story. And even, like, okay, let's say you got a 40-year-old man who constantly gets rejected by women, right? Don't you think there should be, like, some help center? Because clearly there is something wrong with him. Clearly there is something there which gets him unable to find companionship. Like, every human being requires companionship. We are social creatures. So, yeah, I mean, you, instead of having a conversation how you can, you know, help these people, because it's really bad. You know, like, I'm looking at the pickup artists. You know, a lot of them are hacks, a lot of them are cons, and they take advantage of these desperate men in order to milk them out of cash. Like, these men do want help. They do want to go, you know, maybe to a psychologist or a psychiatrist or something to find out what's wrong with them. You know, maybe some of them are very shy. Maybe some of them don't have the social skills to integrate in normal society. And they could use some self-improvement. They could, like, they have a lot of energy that needs to be channeled somewhere in order to become productive members of society. I don't want to have sympathy for a man best known for his robbery, murder, arguably rape, shoved down my throat for 2 hours. Yeah, so this is the type of person that views the world in black and white. You know, like, every villain has a story. And the fact that the Joker, they're trying to give him a compassionate story, is making the Joker into a nuanced character. And nuanced, relatable characters end up making really great stories. Like, for example, Game of Thrones. You know, even child killer Jaime Lannister was relatable in a way because he manages to have that trip of redemption that the writers from Game of Thrones, Dumb and Dumber, managed to fuck it up. But, you know, like, even Cersei Lannister, which is one of the worst villains in the entire show, she at least is relatable because she's trying to protect her family. She does everything that she does for her children. So, you know, like, villains that are relatable, like in Attack of Titan, for example, all of these things make for a compelling story. If you just have, like, Marvel is doing right now, oh, this is a bad guy. Why? Because he's a Nazi. And they leave it at that, and it's just all black and white. That's not really compelling, you know? Even the heroes, the people that you look up to back in the old day of Marvel used to be flawed people. Like, you look at Iron Man, well, he used to be a drunk. He would take drugs. And on top of that, he was also part of the military industrial complex, which when the character was written, this is exactly what the left used to hate. So the creator of Iron Man looked at the culture. He asked, like, what is the type of character that everyone despises, and he created that character and made him a hero. This is a really difficult thing to do as a writer, which is why Stan Lee is regarded as one of the comic book legends of all time. Imagine if Heather Antos would be able to take one angry white racist man and make him into a superhero. Like, take everything that's evil, that society views as being bad, and actually make it into a relatable superhero. And it would be really interesting. Like, you could have this entire journey of the character. You could have, like, maybe a character that, I don't know, comes from South Africa and black people murdered his farmer parents or something. And, like, then there is this journey. He becomes very racist, but he also becomes a superhero. And, there's a burning house at one point. And there is, like, maybe some minorities over there that he hates, but he is a superhero and has to do the right thing. So there's, like, this inner struggle that he has to deal with, and eventually he does the right thing. So, like, you could actually have a very interesting story built around a character that is viewed by society as something evil, and, he has this redemption arc. Blizzard does the same with a lot of their characters, with Illidan and with a lot of... and this is what makes interesting characters, not like, okay, this character is good, this character is bad. And until Marvel gets this, they're not going to make good comics. People are just going to have to read manga. People are going to have to go and watch Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad or, like these types of things. I don't want this to be sold to a relatable story that can happen to anyone with a bad enough day, and I don't want to be around any of the lonely white boys who relate to it. So basically, this is proving my point. Like, they're all about ostracizing. They're all about... And second of all, it's like, okay, so just because the Joker is white, do you think, like, this story can't happen to a black guy? Do you think a black guy can't have a bad enough day and snap? Or a Japanese guy, or an Asian guy, or, like, do you honestly think that for some reason only white people can have bad days and end up going snap? And second of all, it's like, oh, you don't want this to be sold. Well, tough shit. You live in a capitalist society, and because you don't want this to be sold, I'll buy, like, maybe 4 or 5 tickets. Depends on how many super chats I'm getting. See what I did there? Oh my god, I'm such a snake oil salesman. Do you see what I'm getting at? Yeah, I definitely see what Rachel Miller is getting at. She's getting at the fact that she sees herself in a mirror as the person causing the bad day, and she doesn't like it. She really doesn't like it. She hates it. I don't know if there is ever a good time for a movie that paints mass murder as the logical conclusion of societally isolated, debatably neurodivergent white man being felled by the system, but I feel as though this is not fucking it. So let me get this straight, Rachel Miller. Why do you think, like, should we not look into the cause of what causes people to be disgruntled? I mean, the only thing that the left says is, it's the culture, it's video games, it's movies, it's, everything but them. Like, because they view the world through the dichotomy of the oppressor and the oppressed. And, because of that, white men will always be the oppressors. But here's the thing. When your ideology takes hold, throughout human history, it has shown that you can actually reverse the oppressed-oppressor dynamic. For example, in the Roman Empire, the Christians used to be fed to the lions. The moment the Christians managed to get power, they started oppressing the people that oppressed them. The communist revolution in USSR, the aristocracy and the bourgeoisie would oppress the lower class. And when the lower class managed to get in power, they started killing the aristocracy. They started killing the clergy. So throughout time, we noticed that, yeah, with enough push, you can just spin the wheel. You just don't want to admit that you're creating a society where, the people you hate have nowhere to turn to. And it's not because, oh my god, is there the majority or some shit. I have seen people trying to create, for example, a men's shelter. Men that suffer domestic abuse would have a place to go. And, I understand that, they're not the majority, claims the feminists. I don't know how accurate the statistics are, because a lot of men who suffer domestic abuse don't want to come up and outright say it. But it was a guy that wanted to create this shelter from his own personal money, and feminists were boycotting it. And it's like, why? Why are you doing this? Why? It's like, oh, why doesn't he build another women's shelter? Well, why don't you build your own? You have a capitalist society with your own money, you know? So you look at these things, and you notice who's stopping, things from trying to improve. But anyway, I don't want to see a movie that idolizes the Joker, where there are plenty of easily armed fuckboys who already think he has the right idea without adding a tragic backstory to elicit sympathy. Why is the left always cursing like this, like fuckboys? Huh? Like, I don't talk about the left this way. I don't speak about Rachel Miller as a fuck girl, like what? Anyway, I also don't want the narrative line to be drawn between mental illness and mass murder. Also, so you think people who are mentally insane don't commit mass murder? If that's the case, why is it that at the psychiatric ward where I work, there was a panic button? And the people that were hired there were really muscular individuals willing to intervene at a moment's notice. You know what? If you don't think that mental illness can cause violence, I can take you to a trip to certain psychiatric wards in my country and, do it like without any guards, without any, bodyguards there, and we can disable the panic button. And you just have like a trip to the hospital in order to prove that you're not talking shit, that you actually believe in your convictions. So as is so often done in modern eras, Batman villains, as is common with the Joker in particular, I don't want it to get highlighted and underlined in Sharpie as well. God, I'm sick of the Joker. Okay, so it's like, I don't, I feel, me, I don't, I've, me, the ideology. Me, the center of the universe. This is why these people are insufferable. It's like, okay, you don't want to, fine, don't watch it. Oh, but that's not enough. It's like, I don't like it. And I'm like, okay, well, you shouldn't like it either. No, fuck off. I definitely haven't even watched the trailer for this movie. I wasn't even going to see it. But I don't think DC Comics can have a better advertisement for this movie than Heather Anto. So thank you, Heather, for raising awareness that this movie exists. I don't think I can relate with the Joker. I don't think I can have a bad day that would make me snap. But you know what? I'm going to see the movie. I want to see what's it about. Why does it piss you off so much? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and I'll see you all later. Now, if you manage to stomach my squeaky voice and my annoying accent all the way till the end of the video, here is the cherry on the top of the cake. Remember when I said that the entertainment industry, the comic book, and the movie industry is like a tight-knit circle, or a group of friends, if you will, between journalists and actual developers or comic book editors, and all they do is they promote each other, and when one of them lies, they all have to lie. So it's very easy to expose their hypocrisy if you archive the things they're saying. And here you have Heather Antos in the past claiming that she really likes the Joker. So either she is lying about liking the Joker to go like, oh, look, I'm such a comic book geek girl, like, here's my credit. Or she is lying on the fact that she hates the Joker because now you need to hate the Joker. You need to get on that bandwagon. Apparently the movie is something they don't like, so, So look, you can't spell slaughter without laughter. Joker, #Batman. The Joker will always hold a special place in my heart, especially Death in the Family. Painting of the Joker I did a few years back for fun. This is my product piece yet, proudest piece yet, the Joker finished product. Who's your favorite supervillain? And it's like the Joker, good choices. So, I can't believe these people. I legitimately cannot believe a word that these people are saying, because I do not know if they're saying because they have to say it in order to remain in the industry and, promote the correct circle of friends, or they're just saying it in order to try to look, I'm just like you guys, and, this is the thing that I like. But now I don't really like it because my friends don't like it, maybe they're like that type of people, like the grain in the wind that gets to be swayed by what the community finds popular at the correct time. And now it seems the Joker is not very popular. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I do not trust a word these people are saying, which is why I'm not going to get wisdom and moral and life advice from them.